Hello everyone, it's another beautiful Monday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Morayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have my lovely co-host. Hi ladies.
Hi Morayo.
Nima in the building.
Yo, yo, yo.
How was your weekend?
Restful. I had a sick baby, but I rested all through the weekend. I don't know. I felt a bit under the weather, and I love the pampering. Thank you, Oga. Yeah. It was also my parents' wedding anniversary. Over 40 years now.
Fantastic.
But God let us to get there. I couldn't go home to see them. The roads are bad, and I feel terrible that I couldn't go home to see them. But we spent the weekend resting and visiting my parents-in-law. It was nice.
That's nice.
Take your Ghana Dema Lucidum. It will keep you
I've
healthy.
finished it. I finished the last one on Friday.
Yeah.
I've
been nursing kids too. My daughter too fell ill. Took her to the hospital. It started Friday. But I was busy on Saturday. Yeah. So I didn't notice the temperature really dropped until Sunday morning. So I took her right
Don't you have a nanny in the house?
That nanny is not as attentive as the other one. So,
I get.
So yesterday, but thank God we started medication. She's at home right now.
Good. Hot chocolate will work also for her.
How are you doing, James? How was your weekend?
Amazing. I'm very grateful to God. Very excited, in a great mood. You know, when I have my Sundays to myself, you know, alone time, exercising, pampering, and everything, I'm a happier person.
Okay, you need to invite me because I actually need somebody to motivate me to pamper. I need pampering. See my nails now. See my everything. I need pampering. So if you're going,
give me a date. Because I try to do it every weekend, even if it's not the full works. You know,
just let me know. I need somebody to just say, "Morel, let's go." You know?
Maybe Sunday. What are you doing on Sunday?
Yeah, Sunday we can plan it out.
Yeah, cool.
Fantastic.
I saw Mr. Femi Adesina on Friday. I went to lunch.
Ooh.
And he was having lunch. He seemed very unassuming, gentle, just
Did he know you? Did he recognize you?
Yes, we exchanged. We exchanged pleasantries. And I was saying to myself that I was there for hours, he was there for hours. So I just kept on looking at him that these people are just doing their jobs, you know. They're I've been on the till queue also with Alhaji Lai Mohammed before at the supermarket. They're just doing their job. So when you go at them like they're not human, when you now see their human part, you realize that the job is totally different from who they are.
That's what happened with them, Abati too. We used to so respect him a lot until when he got to power, we realized.
Abati, my mentor.
How you doing, Mariam? How was your weekend?
Fine. I had an interesting weekend, quite busy. On Friday, I went for 2 events. Yenny was at one. Okay. It was the Cokers. They lost their mom, 89. My heart goes out to them. And so they were doing like a celebration of life, which is something I had to get used to in Lagos. When people pass on and then you go and dress up. So
you celebrate life here.
Yes.
CBN governor is saying I should stop spraying money. What kind of want yourself? We celebrate down here. We like to celebrate. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then I had there was another birthday party of Mr. Tunji Ladna. He turned 60. Yes, so he's a columnist. He writes about, you know, social consciousness. And it was such a nice party. There were about 100 people. It was a newspaper theme. And then people had to sit down, and we're now talking about government policy.
You feel happy that you have an idea what they're talking about. You know how your view now. You discuss. You are they're not talking about your head.
Thank you.
You have an idea.
Exactly. You're not looking at people and thinking, oh, what are you saying?
Your view has helped your ministry.
It has really helped my ministry in many ways.
I know. It feels that way when you go out and people are having conversation and you can actually contribute because you read papers every single day.
Now I prefer to listen. Because I think I am too opinionated. So when I go out now, people are talking, I'm like,
no.
So, please, you have to say this just for me. My husband had a debut on Sunday church, so they gave him the opportunity to host the Thanksgiving. Oh. You know, for a choir member, it's a big deal. I didn't realize that big deal. My husband practiced for 2 weeks. Well, they gave me Sunday service, Thanksgiving service, and I'm like, really? And it was a big, every day the house is singing, compiling songs, cramming, trying to get the flow together. Every day we won't hear a word in the house. Finally, Sunday came. He said, Morel, my share for me. Yeah, that list, you have to put it like this. Front seats. Don't do this to me now, Brown. So in church on Sunday, I had the paper like this. He was right in front of me singing, and it was always a secret between me and him. But the whole freaking church in and the ministers were like, doing like this. I'm like, hey, you're not supposed to know what we're doing. I'm not supposed to be holding this paper like this. And the whole church. So it was just so, for me, I felt a bit, I wouldn't use the word I feel, but.
Thanksgiving leader and assistant.
I think it was I felt so embarrassed. I think you are not the exemplary couple. So what does your counselors in church will say? Did you see the Browns? The wife is very
Let's go on a break. It's Monday. When we come back, we'll try really hard to breeze through the front pages of the papers. So many hot things happen over the weekend. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, we're going to start very quickly with Punch. The front pages had presidential ticket, Atiku begins search for running mate. Obi Ezekwesili, Donald Duke. Al Mustafa joins race. We are ready for 2019 polls, Oshiomhole tells opposition. Navy shuts illegal maritime academy, arrests proprietor and teachers. Mother accuses Lagos hospital of killing son with wrong medication. Restructuring should be precondition for electing next president, says Bakari. Primaries, Aisha Buhari hits Oshiomhole, says impunity reigns under him. Nigeria transfer 216 billion naira via mobile devices in 9 months. President denies asking El Rufai to initiate Sheikh Husani's recall from Senate. So the Metro News here concerning the mother accuses Lagos hospital of killing son with wrong medication. Yeah. I read that story, really sad. Go ahead.
Sad. She had this woman, 2 of her children were ill and she took them to this private hospital and they were given medication. And they were admitted in hospital.
One is a 4-year-old, one is a 1-year-old.
Yes, a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. So in a few days, the older one seemed to be getting better, but the younger one just kept getting sick, according to her. And she talked to the doctors and said, no, he's fine, he's getting better. And she says on the day that they were asked to leave, discharged, that her son, you know, kept
stooling.
Yes, stooling. Kept stooling. And she just thought maybe it was just the medicine. They got home. When they got home, he seemed to be getting worse. He wasn't getting any better. She got drugs that they had given her from the hospital. And anyway, in long story short,
I think what happens is she's alleging that it was the antibiotics they gave her son that caused his death.
They exchanged the drugs for the 4-year-old with the 1-year-old.
That was she's alleging. Yes, but then the hospital has responded saying that the drugs that was given to the boy was right drug and the right dosage, and the antibiotic doesn't dry up your blood. There's no way. So even if it was given,
so she had come in with the same with a case of food poisoning. And they're saying these children were most likely having the same symptom. Maybe she got back home and fed them the same food that brought her into the hospital before them. Hopefully, we get to the bottom of this. It could be a bag of dry food, maybe Gary or something. The same meal that
because she needs closure.
Autopsy. Yeah, she said she wanted to really shout, but her husband was holding her back. Yeah.
This is a case of...
we need to investigate and be sure so that she has some kind of closure. Let's talk about the Navy shuts down illegal maritime.
So this illegal Navy Maritime Academy was shut down back in 2014 by the... 2013. By the President Jonathan at the time. And they found out recently in 2016, the school came back into action using fictitious syndicate to send out text messages to students who have written JAMB. I've experienced those kind of things before when I was looking for admission. They will send you just get an alert from one school, I have gotten admission. And then you go and resume there only to find out that school doesn't have an accreditation on it or anything. So students should be careful and parents should please investigate the schools that they
have arrested. They arrested a few students in the school, including teachers and proprietor. But I'm wondering if the students did anything wrong. If you received an SMS, you're looking for admission.
They didn't arrest the students. They took them, evacuated them, and then they're repatriating them back to their various states. But they arrested the owner and 2 instructors.
Moving on now to The Nation 2019 Buhari Atiku set. Picture here of Mr. Sanwo-Olu, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and our current governor, Akin Umamode. Very, very happy faces. Oil firms to refine 20% of crude output locally. I'll deal with APC in Osun by SDP. So Atiku finally got the ticket for PDP. So
May I commend PDP for that primary? I watched it from Saturday till Sunday. Right. It was well organized. Whether the monies were flying or anything, but there was no...
We didn't see monies flying, but some people alleged that monies flew. It doesn't matter, but
it was a very well conducted one.
And what I like
the picture.
What I liked the most about the PDP primaries was that the people who lost, Tambuwal, Saraki, you know, graciously, he had left. Governor Wike said had left 4 hours.
Their interest to graciously accept.
Graciously accepted and said that they were going to work with Atiku. Oh. I put out, and this is my personal opinion, that the current president and aspiring PDP president Atiku were the 2 actors in the APC primaries in 2014. It seems like we're just going around in circles. Well, but we now have other...
the Senate president. That is my concern. So you have shut down the National Assembly for this long, only to have 300 and something votes. What happened?
Excuse me. I think that is very irrelevant in this sense.
Let's move on.
That he came out and he said that obviously they're not ready for us. I like the courage that he came out. He may go back to his Senate, and if he comes out again in 2020,
let's move on to Daily Sun. Atiku versus Buhari 2019. Old foes clash again. I don't know how you became friends with Saraki.
I am not.
Abga will produce 8 governors in 2019, says party's chairman. Will impeach Saraki, Senate leader says. That's Laman. And our last paper for today is New Telegraph 2019. Atiku will give Buhari a robust fight, says Tune Bakare. President's campaign, PDP candidate lacks credibility. PDP presidential aspirants to pick governorship and senatorial tickets. Polytechnic guard raped 17-year-old student on campus. Primaries, Aisha Buhari attacks Oshomole. ACPN adopts Obi Ezekwesili as presidential candidate. Okorocha's son-in-law pick APC senatorial Guba tickets. And CBN proposes 5 billion naira capital requirements for PS banks. Well, let's talk about this.
Metro News, right? Yes. There's this particular one I really need us to talk about. LASU has finally let go of 3 lecturers. The doctor.
Which paper was that in?
I think that was Sun,
okay,
yes. Okay. Dr. Sukomio Odubumi, Dr. Isiaka Ogunwade and Dr. Emmanuel Gbeleyi, these lecturers had been sexually assaulting students. So the council has finally come together and they've let them go. You remember the story of the lady that the NGO helped? Right. Okay, but then there's this particular story. Mr. Emmanuel Gbeleyi, what he did, he is a lecturer of anatomy. He would inject his female students, sedate them, and then rape them. So finally they've been let go from the school, but I hope that this man, especially Dr. Emmanuel Gbeleyi, would be further prosecuted.
All 3 of them should be prosecuted.
No, but the funny thing about the story is he used to tell the students to go and buy the syringes themselves, so they will be the ones to go and buy the injection, and then he will sedate them. I wonder...
In a related story, Jumoke, it happened also in
Polytechnic in Kogi State.
You have that story?
Yes, I do. The security guard too is I called him an habitual abuser, someone who has mastered the art of extortion and abuse. He would, in 2014, he had done it before. He had been accused of raping students in the school. So your way from night lectures or reading, he will waylay you, extort money from you, and rape you. So the school refused to, sack him, and he repeated it this time around. Came into the hall, attacked a girl who was reading, and a boy was trying to defend her. He hit him on the head with a torch, sent him out to go and get money, then took photos of them after tearing up the girl's clothes, getting her naked, and said, these pictures will go viral if you do not pay up. So the girl went to the hostel with him, and then he dragged her back to his guard room, raped her, and sent her away. Okay. So the family have been, fighting for justice, seeking justice. And I hope that he's been arrested, and I hope they get this
time around, because last time he was arrested too. And
unfortunately, she reported to the school clinic, so they have records of rape, and they have records of his sample. At least they should be able to give her.
We have to take Obi Ezekwesili's ACPN adopts Obi Ezekwesili as presidential candidate. We got to give a clap. At least we have somebody, a woman coming out.
I was going to take you when we're talking about Atiku and the president to say that we have other aspirants. Beladro Toye also is now a candidate because he won the presidential primaries of his party. Kingsley Moghalu, Donald Duke, Showore. Now, my issue is this, that the APC's primaries, they came out with 14 million, over 14 million people right? During the last elections, all the election results were 29 million. So all these other strong candidates like an Obi Ezekwesili, a Kingsley Moghalu, they are going to divide our votes. If what you want to do is to change the change.
Is Kingsley still a strong candidate?
I think also that we also have new people who have actually registered for PVCs, who have new PVCs. So hopefully the numbers might actually be changed. We might not know them.
If a party like new people, MAPC chooses direct primaries to show us the numbers they already have, we should be doing a lot of work.
Anyway, we're happy
for Obi Ezekwesili. At least this time around, you can't say there are no options. The options plenty. It's not for you as electorate to sit back, think it through, and decide who you want to lead the nation next. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you in a few seconds. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I thought
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Crime is one major social problem around us, and prisons all over the world is known as the turning point to reforming criminals to becoming more responsible individuals. However, there are some misconceptions, as some believe that Nigerian prisons make the inmates more hardened. We also have reports that show that 72.5% of Nigerian total prison population are inmates serving time while waiting trial. Joining us on the show is Executive Director, Prison Fellowship Nigeria. He's an attorney also, Mr. Benson Iwagu. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
Good to have you. Okay. You can join the conversation on 070-806-68014. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. Sir, our focus today is on prisons, and we understand that there are lots of people, because recently even one of my colleagues in the office was arrested for, I think, traffic offense, and he was put in prison, and if not that we intervened at some point, he probably would have been there for weeks and weeks. And that's one of the concerns that we've identified, that people are there awaiting trial. Now, in your own experience as an attorney and also somebody who handles a fellowship, what have been your observations? What have you seen when you go to prisons? What are the issues? How come, in your own view, the prisons are so congested?
Thank you very much. The problems with our prisons and our criminal justice system is hydra-headed. There are a lot of problems associated with that. But begin first with the inmates, okay? Like you've rightly observed, by the time you have 75% of prison inmates awaiting trial, that tells you a lot about our criminal justice systems that tend to negate some of the fundamental freedoms, such as a presumption of innocence and all that. But leave that there, and then look at the conditions in prisons.
Right.
Of course, once our processing system is so encumbered that all you do is haul all of them in there while we go look for evidence and while we investigate, the place will be congested.
Very true.
And the resultant effect is that you have a lot of criminal socialization. Criminal socialization happens when the innocent first offender awaiting trial gets in there and encounters Ogbologbo there that is being a serial recidivist and all that, and he begins to learn the hard way. And of course, because the interpretation you get out of our prisons is one of retribution, one of hate, one of social isolation. You know, so no person really goes into the prisons and come out happy, okay? But that's where prison fellowship come in, because we are a fellowship that believes that no matter how bad an individual is, God still loves him. Okay, so basically we go in there with a love.
I like that, I mean, because we've seen lots of also other NGOs participate. I want you to give us first-hand stories, because we're going to bring in a government official later on to tell us what the government is doing. But I'd like to hear you, as a private person, what are the stories you've heard in prison about congestion, about their welfare, about how they're treated, and the kind of freedom they have within that prison? Tell us a few stories you've heard.
Fine. Let me just give a context.
Okay.
life is so hard outside, let alone for those who are in confinement. So you have deprivation in prisons. Okay? You have cases of skin disease, contamination. Just yesterday, I won't mention the prison. There are some of the inmates there who fallen ill maybe at odd hours because of the restrictions and the security environment. To get access to medical assistance becomes an issue. And what happens? It passes on. So the issue of medical limitations constrain their health a lot. Then the issue of space is another one. Okay? So they suffer, that's why they are happy when they see us come, because, you know, they suffer a lot of dejection, social, psychological depression and all that. So a lot of things happen in there. You have, some have prescription drugs, but there won't be money to buy. So when we get there, oh, we have this drug prescribed. What do? We take and see how we source it.
So, my first experience visiting the Kirikiri medium prisons was during this season, rainy season, and it was a terrible experience for me. I have not gotten over it. So I want to ask you, what are the developments to improve the infrastructure within prisons as of now? The last time I was there, it was flooded, and they were bathing in the water. I cried all the way home. I mean, full-blooded men bathing outside. That was what I saw. What is government doing to improve the infrastructure? Because we're going to ask the same question from the government side, but I would like to hear from your side, being someone who is actively involved. Are they improving infrastructure? Are they trying to expand the provision of beds and all that for the prisons coming from government side? Because this is what taxpayers' money should be doing. Is government utilizing what they should to improve the lives of the inmates in prisons? Well,
I would say from my very limited perspective that what we perceive them doing in response to the congestion is that some new prisons are being built in the 6 geopolitical zones. But that is for me a futuristic thing. Presently, what is happening is that the space is not expanding. The population is increasing. So what do you expect? You have your answer there. So what we see is that the government, of course, don't forget, is under pressure. Okay, because there are visits, there are reports by CSOs, there are every kind of human rights interventions and reports. But let me say that it's not quite possible for the government to do it alone. That is where, for instance, organizations like Prison Fellowship come in. Those people are our brothers. If we begin to wait for when the government will do it all, then nothing will get done.
The least you can do is, of course, legal aid. I work with Shoulders for You initiative. They also visit the prisons. The best thing that can happen to them, Ahmed Adetola Kazim and Co., is do legal aid for those that are waiting, try and get them out of
but that doesn't solve the problem. Let me let you come in here for a second.
So my question is solution. Knowing that the government cannot do it alone and we cannot expand, what is the best solution within the circumstances right now?
What is the best circumstance is to look for an alternative criminal justice system. And that is where we are promoting restorative justice, pre-trial diversion, and mediation in criminal matters.
Okay.
That will help us sieve off those cases, those complaints that shouldn't go to trial.
Yeah. Okay.
Where the victims and the offenders are able to sort out issues. It will reduce cost, it will improve efficiency, both of the courts and of the prisons. So what we are doing in the long term is that restorative justice, pre-trial diversion, and mediation in criminal matters should
Thanks for highlighting that, because we definitely would like to bring in somebody from the criminal justice, someone from the criminal justice system to come and help us see what they can do to help us decongest the prisons. But let me let Mariam come in here.
So one last question. That's it. There are people who are listening now and are saying these people are prisoners. They have committed crimes anyway. Shouldn't they, you know, be going through what they're going through? It's punishment for what they have done. But here I'm hearing you say, okay, you need help. So what would you like to tell people out there who have that mentality that these people are suffering what they deserve, but
75% of them aren't suffering what they deserve.
Yeah, they are serving unjustified term.
Yes.
Okay, but even at that, punishment must have an aim. It should be to reform and to rehabilitate, and not to, dehumanize, which is currently what is happening. Punishment must be such that when the inmate gets in there, why did he do that? You should be able to diagnose the causative factors and deal with them, so that they don't go in there and come out and remain the same. No one goes to hospital and
for example, my colleague that was arrested for traffic offense.
Okay.
He's not stupid. I mean, yes, maybe he did something wrong as a driver, not because he was mentally ill, but that person could have been thrown in the prison for weeks or probably even months of waiting trial because he doesn't know anybody. Sure. But because he works in a station, we're able to push a build-up button to get him out. So that kind of cases, he goes in there as a normal human being, comes out hardened.
Those are the problems with our system. And don't forget, let's not forget that some of these things have political undertone. What kind of society are we operating? Yes. You find that there is a lot of socio-economic injustice in the system. There is a lot of oppression in the system. So those all reflect.
Points, because I'm going to bring that point to question to our government official. Because how the officials themselves relate with the inmates. There's always this issue of, yes, I am the boss here, and they further dehumanize, aside from the system itself being inadequate. But they as a people don't even in any way have any kind of compassion for these people. So my final question to you, sir, as a fellowship, it seems like you guys have access to the prisons. Yes. Do they give access to other family members and loved ones that at least relate with these inmates, or they're just abandoned by themselves?
No. There is access. But the unfortunate thing is that some family members would not even want to visit their relatives once they hear he's in prison. And then the attitude of prison officers, that may have been the case in the old time or in the past. Right. But presently what you have is a better relationship. There is empathy, and that's why we have access.
Okay, that's fantastic. Let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll bring in someone who can shed more light on this issue. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. Did you hear that? Thanks for staying with us. Joining us is the prison superintendent and the PRO Nigerian Prison Service, Lagos Command, Mr. Rotimi Oladokun. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much.
So you heard our conversation earlier with the fellowship boss, and I guess what we really want to talk about is the conditions of the prisons. Yes, we don't like the idea that people go in there for crimes and they seem to be come out as criminals. So in a nutshell, tell us exactly what the prison procedure is when you receive these inmates. How are they treated, and how do you ensure that they are well reformed so that they can be properly reconciled into the society?
Okay. They ever get reformed?
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here once again, to actually sit on the famous white couch. Yeah, I'm the Public Relations Officer of Nigerian Prison Service, Lagos Command. Responding to your question, when an inmate is brought to the Nigerian prison, that inmate must be accompanied with a legal document, what we call a warrant from a court. So once that inmate comes to the prisons, we have what we call the admission board. These are the people, the board is in charge of receiving an inmate into, and as part of that board, we have people from the medical, people from what we call welfare, then we have people from legal, we have people from industry, is a vocational subject, then any other officers that may want to shine light on that particular committee. So as part of you interview the inmates, you try and find out what is the nature of the offense. These are stated in the document, but you want to have a one-on-one with the inmate. So we find out where is the level of formal education, does he have a lawyer, what are his peculiar needs, then also the health checkup on the inmate. So after that is done, is received in the prison service. After that is allocated a cell, then the major vocational training starts. Is it good in vocation?
It's even good that you have admission.
Education.
It's not like you're doing a textbook admission.
Because at your statement you said there's an admission board that you must, after filling the form, have a one-on-one with an inmate. I have never heard that an inmate is returned for not fulfilling
the admission.
When
I say admission, it's basically
that's routine.
That is routine. It's our technical term.
If they were to return some inmates for not fulfilling,
you will. It's not like
So I wanted to say that, Mr. Oladokun, the way you were just saying everything, it sounds so posh. One would want to go to prison.
Honestly, it sounds like a university.
But what we know is that it is not really as posh as you are making it sound. right? So, for instance, when you find out that this patient is asthmatic, is it that you then assign a warder to say that, okay, well, every day go and give him his inhaler? Is that yes or no?
Yes. That's what,
in our overcrowded prisons?
The prisons are overcrowded. That's a fact. But in as much as they are overcrowded, the present administration under our Control General has made adequate provision of medical drugs and facilities. Okay, so in each clinic, in each hospital in Lagos, we have 5 prisons in Lagos, and each of them has a clinic for first aid. So when we have maybe an emergency or a serious case that cannot be handled by a clinic, they have referrals to the General Hospital, LASUT, and other government hospitals. So if it's drugs...
I think Kemilolo actually verified that they have drugs. That is drugs, though, they have drugs.
Okay, so the government position, I know you would like to, give us the good, the good picture. But the thing is, you must have challenges. Already, you have congestion. So you must have challenges with admission. So what are those challenges with the admission and
yes, I think
following up on medical issues?
Generally, we have, because of the admission, we have more awaiting trial inmates. Okay. That is a fact. And this is part with the Nigerian Prison Service, part of the criminal justice system. So we receive this inmates. We don't prosecute, we don't adjudicate, because the courts and other prosecuting agencies does that. So, but when they are remanded with us, we don't just leave them there. We put them into skills training or educational training.
Okay. Let's talk about your medical angle. I experienced once when police, what do you call them? Prison jailers like you. Pregnant woman.
Prisons. They're also called prisons.
They brought a pregnant woman to the MCC at Festac. Okay. She was in labor. They had no material whatsoever, so we had to donate to the woman. What is the medical provisions like for cases that you have to take out of your control to
what
the
kind of question
general
hospitals? Is this? If there is no paracetamol in Aso Rock Hospital,
I'm sure they have.
In prison, we have
said they have drugs. But this particular case, they brought this woman on emergency to the hospital, and they had to donate. The hospital had to find the 2 women were going wards per ward to raise things for her.
Inmates that are female and pregnant, obviously they come in pregnant. So when the female prison in Kirikiri has a primary health care facility attached to the prison facility. So when you have some of those needs, especially when maybe the due date, inmate is having the due date, there's certain preparation in conjunction with, we have the welfare department. They try to solicit things, baby things, prenatal, maternity things, preparing for. So once an inmate, if there's any issue in the clinic, the first thing is life. A referral is made and the inmate is taken there. And to prevent, costs are usually borne by the officers in charge and the service. Okay. So at least make sure that the inmate and mother and child are safe.
Because we have very little time, let me talk about the issue of welfare.
Yes.
Feeding. We have all sort of figures flying around. Oh, this is how much is budgeted for inmates per day, morning, afternoon, night. And the inmates are saying, no.
300 naira, and then we had 14,000 per day.
14,000 at some point. So what's the budget? How do you feed these inmates on a daily basis?
Well, this is public information. What is just ascribed is 450 naira is budgeted per inmate per feeding.
Per meal.
Per meal. So that's 1,350
per day.
Per day.
That's the allocation. Yeah, it might be enough or might not be enough. Those are policy issues that will be looked into. Okay. But the issue is that inmates, each prison, especially the one in Lagos prison, the controller of prison makes it a duty. He goes around unofficially without to check, and he actually eats
the food.
The food, right, to show that at least the quality is good. Okay. So that is standard.
That's commendable.
I have 3 questions, yes or no answers. Do prisoners get pregnant in prison?
No.
Oh, God. Second question. We hear of VIP prisoners, conjugal visits in Nigeria. Do we have that, yes or no?
In Nigeria prisons, our laws, there are no provisions for conjugal visits.
Oh, right. Okay, so those VIP that have conjugal visits,
how do you know? How do you know? You ask yes or no question. I said yes.
Third question. in terms of welfare, some VIP prisoners have their family members bring in food for them. They say that Kemi Olunloyo said she was well taken care of, and she was crying about what was happening to the other prisoners. Is there VIP session? Yes or no?
Let me clear this perception. On the classification we do is basically on awaiting trials and convicted inmates. Yes, we know this is our society, and it happens in all crime. Yes. If there's a particular individual, depending on the sensitive nature of the case, for protective reasons, I can give you an instance. Yeah. The former Prime Minister of Israel, Omar, when he was convicted for corruption, when he was sentenced to jail, he was kept in a different confinement. Not with the general population. Right. So there's no that...
Tell us about what they do.
Yes, there's no that general...
Use that example.
There's no that general classification that we have VIP. All inmates are treated equally. Okay. And bear in mind that prison... wherever you are, whatever your status outside the gate, once you come in...
It's a leveler.
Yeah.
Are you sure? In prison. Okay. We have to go on a break. When we come back...
There's still one more yes or no question.
When we come back, we'll start with Miriam. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So Miriam had a question.
Yes, you were talking about skills training for the inmates. I want to, if you'd like to tell us how they take on this, and then when they do leave, do you have those who participated, leave on, go out and do better, or do you have people returning, people that...
as part of our core mandate, we have what we call the 3 initiative: reformation, rehabilitation, and reintegration of all offenders back into society. So they are subject to a lot of training. You have woodworks, carpentry, you have paint making, you have even people that are going to do renewable energy training.
And people that study as well.
Yes, and people that. So presently we have 2 inmates that are doing their masters and their PhD degrees in National Open University.
Nice, very nice.
And currently we have close to 400 students from 100 level to 400 level that are doing different programs under our National Open University.
That's in Lagos, or nationally?
In Lagos and nationally. Okay. And also, the follow-up to that, the Nigerian Prison Service just won the UNESCO Education Award on Literacy and Skill Development.
Oh, nice.
Because of education. So these are what is happening. In regard even skills training, let me add an aside. On Saturday, one of our officers just got married, and the MC was, I'll call him a former student, that did. You won't see the difference.
Okay, please, let me ask this question.
I'm waiting for you. Trudy, are you there? Thanks for calling.
Yes.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, Morayo, I think Jumoke is doing a very good job. At least she's asking the main question. I'm expecting Nima as a lawyer to be on the forefront because she knows quite well what is going on in our prisons. Mr. PRO, I think you are not being fair, very sincere enough. Sorry, with due respect. I have visited the prisons. I do visit the prisons. So to an extent that you bring in the food that is meant for inmates, one bag of the food will disappear. We in our presence, and I felt bad that it is happening. So people brought food for the inmate to augment as a charity.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that. So, could you let me respond to that? Issues of food welfare.
Issue of welfare. All inmates are fed 3 times daily. Yes, we have occasion where people want to visit prisons to celebrate maybe a birthday anniversary, or someone just said, I want to celebrate with inmates. They bring in certain food items. We have the process. So when you bring in, you don't just open the gates of the prison, everything just, it has to go through different stages of check. You have people from the catering, you have people from health department. To actually
okay, let me rephrase Judy's concern. The prisons, do you guys just feel somewhat helpless because you might not have enough from the federal allocation, such that you depend a lot on the NGOs, people coming in and they bring in food, and instead of
Using all of it
for the people. Student.
Some of them are diverted.
Yes. I led a humanitarian visit to the Kirikiri prison, the medium one, when I visited. The things we brought, they actually checked and allowed us bring them in, but they didn't allow us distribute them. So I think that's the question he's talking about.
I'm trying to. That's why I'm alluding to the fact that there's a process. You can't just hand over. They have certain arrangement, and also, you know, there's organization. So even the inmates are organized.
Right.
So you have those that, okay, you sit down.
Okay, are you just saying that there's no corruption?
See, let me get. No, that's it. You have certain unscrupulous people. Yes. That is true. Right. But look, recently the headquarters just dismissed 5 prison officers because they went foul of the regulation. Exactly. But what I'm saying now, presently, under this new regime of the Controller General of Prison, Jafar Ahmed, there is emphasis on discipline, intolerance for any form of corruption. Good. So we have laid down most.
Fantastic. So are there places that someone like a Chudi can go and report that? I came there, I brought a bag of rice, so is there somewhere you can report this?
Yes, yes.
That's my final question. Where can you report it?
Yes, once you go to a prison, first, if you have issues with anybody, ask to see the officer in charge. Or you take down his number. We have a complaint response unit, 080.
Okay, we'll post it online on TVC Connect.
So there are laid down modalities to forestall any form of abuse.
My final question is, as the PR of the prisons, how do you feel when you see producers, movie producers, project prison jailers actually beating and maltreating inmates in movies? How do you what are you doing to make sure that they project the right image of the prison workers?
Those descriptions are totally wrong. As a person, I feel bad because some of this we're engaging with some of the movie producers that you want to take a clip of the Nigerian prisons, any of our facilities, come close to, because some of those scripts, when you actually say, one, you can see a female inmate with a male guard, that is totally wrong. In female prison, they're all female staff guards. Okay. So that's
we have to close up very soon, but there's something I would like to ask you. When we watch movies, Hollywood has shown us how prisons are, bro. They look like hotels, you know. They're nicely painted. I have seen where you're feeding, the trays, the cafeteria. It looks a bit decent. Currently, our prisons don't look even far. Close. You know, it doesn't look so close, anything like that. As a PRO, what is government doing to help reform, rebuild, restructure, reorganize the entire prison such that it even looks pleasant?
President, even irrespective of our inadequate facilities and space because of congestion, efforts have been made to actually improve the welfare and even structurally of various prisons throughout the Federation. There are new prisons that will be built in each geopolitical zone. If the present one are even expanding, you're having more cells. But obviously, these things are not adequate because of the growing population of inmates. But steps are being made to address this.
Let's take a few tweets and we'll round up.
There's a question, it bothers me. Adeyemi Adetunji says, we hear of exchange of inmates. Crime committed follows for innocently arrested ones. How true is this?
This is not true. There's even a new initiative being implemented where we're going digital. So all our records, biometrics, fingerprint. So there's no case of mistaken identity, no.
Okay. Last one, Emmanuel says, the prison is meant to reform and rehabilitate, but the Nigerian prison is very unsafe. Trust me, I know.
Okay, well, what we've heard from the PR right now, that things are changing.
Things are changing. I feel like getting better.
Yes, it's been bad.
Lagos Command.
Well, according to the Lagos Command PR.
It is Nigerian Prison Service.
So things are changing. We will bring you back next quarter again to see how far between now and then what has happened and try to follow up.
And we're visiting.
And I'm also inviting people to come and see some of our facilities. Come and see.
Nima will be there this week.
Finally, I'll make the visit for you.
That's all we can take on this show. And we'll try to follow up with the criminal justice. We'll talk to the Attorney General to get us somebody who can talk. Because we need to find a way how to stop these people from being held for so long and how we can speed up the criminal justice system. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you for coming.